Welcome back to Primetime Crisis. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
And today I want to talk about just a couple things really briefly. Not a whole lot of TV the last 3 weeks for me. I've been concentrating more on movies and comics and things, but I did, of course, get a request for a TV show, and also I'm going to talk really briefly about Lost in Space, but I haven't watched much of that yet, so I'm mostly just going to give my initial first impressions of that show. But I'm going to start with Malik Meyer's pick for this time, which was Ash vs. Evil Dead. I watched the first 2 episodes of that, and I'm going to need your help with it a little bit, because I don't know this show, and I don't know that world real well. And I've, so what I do when somebody makes a request like this, for those of you that don't know, we do $20 requests on the channel, and for a TV show, I will sample it. I'll watch the first episode and the next episode. And I will say, I wish I had taken the time to watch 1 or 2 more, because they're short, first of all.
Yeah, they're only half-hour episodes.
I love the half-hour format. It's great. They get a lot done in that. And it's
and it gets better. Like, I think the next episode is the first episode with the episode where they go to the magic shop is really good. I think that's 3 or 4.
Yeah, you told me about that. I haven't seen that yet. Yeah. But yeah, so like I wish I'd taken the time to watch more. I was doing a lot of other things, and hopefully a lot of this will come to me as we talk about it, because it's been a couple weeks, because we were supposed to shoot last week and we didn't get a chance to. So I will just say I don't feel qualified to talk about this at all, and my comments will be somewhat vague. But I'm sure Eric will help jog my memory a little bit. I should say up front, this is not exactly my cup of tea, so part of the reason I didn't keep going is because I'm not compelled to, just because it's not my thing. But I never like to leave that as a review. Well, it's not for me, so I'm not going to talk about it. I mean, I obviously will talk about what I think it does well, and I understand why this appeals to people. I
watched the whole first season as they aired, then I rewatched the first season before the second season dropped on DVD, and I watched that as well, so I should remember this stuff pretty well.
Yeah, so
it was like 8 months ago.
This is a world that I'm not super familiar with. I watched Army of Darkness with a friend of mine in high school who was a big fan of that, and that's the last I've looked at anything from this. I've never seen Evil Dead. I've never seen Evil Dead 2. Which I realize is a remake of the first movie, and I know there's a remake that people don't like, but that's what I know about that franchise. I remember, so what I remember of Army of Darkness, the first episode of this is very reminiscent of, but sillier, at least the way I'm remembering it. But it's cool that Sam Raimi came back and directed it, and I don't know if he did any more episodes. I don't know if he comes back and keeps directing.
I think he might do the finale
of
the season. I don't remember.
It feels like everybody is back in tune, and it feels like they're just coming back to work after a long weekend, right? I mean,
this is the best example I've ever seen of you can go home again.
Yeah,
you can come back and can feel like no time has passed at all.
Yeah,
and you can just hit.
It really has it, and it's paced similarly. Even though, like I said, it feels sillier and almost more heightened. But a lot of what I remember about that movie was, you'd have over the top crazy violence and a protagonist who's, out of his gourd and hilarious, but then we'd like play around with camera work a lot and like shoot through trees and roofs with holes in them, and he'd get real artsy-fartsy, and then he'd go back to just blood splattering everywhere. That's what I remember. And also skeletons, right?
Yes.
Are there skeletons?
Yes.
I also remember skeletons.
There's an army of skeletons that is Harryhausen tribute.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because obviously he's a big fan of Harryhausen. He produced Hercules and Xena, which are love letters to Harryhausen.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I really appreciated about this movie was the being able to come home again thing, and I think Campbell is hilarious, but it's not my sensibilities, so there's like a cynicism about it that I want to appreciate that's difficult for me to appreciate. But I think it's like a character cynicism before it's like the world is cynical. But it's also like it's also like a really heightened, not remotely realistic, kind of, okay, so I guess the world is cynical. I'm saying that the people making it don't come off cynical through it, if that makes any sense. But I mean, like, yeah, there's a lot of like really horrible people, but then you know, you have sidekick characters that are supposed to be endearing. So you know how people keep comparing The Tick to this show, where some of it's that half-hour format, some of it's you know, how heightened it is, some of it is sophistication of storytelling, and how it's not afraid to go to places that a lot of TV usually won't. Like, it takes a lot of risks.
And the original creator coming back and showing that they can still do this thing and still do it fresh.
Yeah, absolutely. Where it's updated, but it's still the spirit of it is very much what it always was. In a lot of ways, I feel like The Tick is like its opposite also, because like comparing, this is a thing I never would have done until this happened. Comparing Ash and The Tick is really interesting because they're both in a world that's heightened from our perspective, but they're way farther out there to everyone else around them, and they live in their own little worlds, and they don't understand how things work and fit together, and they probably have some kind of mental condition, except that with Ash we know where some of that comes from because of all the, you know, undead things he's had to kill and things. But I haven't seen the original, so I'm not sure if he starts from that place. If
he's more of a normal person in the first film. By the time we get to the third film, they do seem to have settled on he is an idiot, but it's not just that these things have changed him. They have decided he is an idiot.
But The Tick might be that way too, and we just don't know because we don't know where he came from.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he doesn't have that. But there is kind of that question of like how can you possibly be as dense as you are? But the big place where they're very much opposites, of course, is that The Tick is optimistic and believes in people to a fault, and Ash is obviously the complete opposite of that. And so the Tick has crazy amounts of empathy, and this guy has no empathy at all. But they're the same kind of stupid.
Yeah,
and it's just really interesting looking at those characters together.
I think Ash is a little more lucid, but it's a similar kind of stupid.
Well, and it's almost like he puts it on.
He lives in his own little world.
In a way that the Tick does, and almost like he just thinks he's entitled to be that way because he's had such a bad life.
I also think he lies to himself.
Sure.
I think he thinks his life is better than it is. He's got tenure at like a Walmart, like a Sam's Club like store. Like they can't fire him because he's worked there for so long.
That was hilarious. Yeah, and the thing with the box of bulbs.
Where he just picks up and just all falls out. Don't break those.
Don't break those. Oops.
And then he just sweeps it into
He's like, what's going on back there? Nothing. But he doesn't care. Even if he gets caught, he's good. And the other thing, of course, is that the Tick is always rushing in and being helpful, even when people don't want him around at all. And obviously, like Ash is really intrusive and stuff, but he's the not just the unlikely hero, but he's the begrudging hero. He's constantly pushing against having to do the heroic thing, and that's the thing I lash on to most.
Well, can I tell you how the season ends?
Yeah, sure.
So, they have to go back to the cabin, and Lucy Lawless is there, and we find out that
we get a glimpse of her, and I know that she's the big bad because you've told me about that. But
she is.
And I might watch some more just because I love Lucy Lawless, but
she's like a great old one. She is the one that wrote the Necronomicon.
Yeah.
She
so
wants.
Is she intentionally bringing all this back?
Yes.
Okay.
She wants.
Because the big mystery, of course, is why do we have deadites and stuff?
Yeah.
And
she wants hell on Earth.
Yeah.
And she's and we find out that when Ash went up to the cabin, he was going to take his girlfriend Shelley to Jacksonville, Florida, on vacation. After they went up to the cabin, they were going to go to Jacksonville, Florida, and I think he was going to propose or something. But it was like, in his head, this has always been like, if only I'd gone to Jacksonville, like my life would be better.
Okay.
And so she offers to him, if you let me bring hell on Earth, you can go to Jacksonville and it's going to be everything you ever wanted to be. And also she has to pay for gas to get there. And he says yes. And he leaves, and as hell is rising onto Earth, he's just driving to Jacksonville, Florida.
So he never loses that.
No. I mean
the begrudging hero thing. Like he tries to stay out for himself all the time.
Yep. And then the second season, he just the only reason he comes back in is because Deadites start attacking him again. And she's like, "Well, you have to help me if you want to keep staying in Jacksonville.
That's crazy.
Also, we get the time travel at the end of season 2. It's weird.
Yeah, because I kept wondering if I was supposed to like begrudgingly otherwise, if I was actually supposed to see him as a hero or if he's more of an anti-hero type. And I guess it is that.
Yeah, he's out for himself, and that's kind of. I mean, he does care about other people to some extent.
To some extent,
but like
yeah.
calling him a hero, I think might be stretching
is pushing it. Yeah, because I don't know. So you've got the whole probably the I mean, it's grotesque and hard for me to look at, but the I mean, like it's obviously going as far as it can with the violence, and that's supposed to be some of the fun of it. And I get why people like that, but it turns me off. I have a tough time with some of that. But the big trailer park fight with the old lady.
The chainsaw goes right onto his hand.
Yeah, that's because it's so absurd.
They just throw it.
They just yeah. I kind of expected him to miss it. I kind of thought like he'd miss.
No, the one thing he's good at is killing monsters. That's his. He's an idiot and he's bad at everything except for this one thing.
I get that, but I thought maybe the throw would be too short. Like maybe it wouldn't have been on his part.
No, it just always works out for him. That's the one thing in his life that always works out. Is this always plays out. Although, is that a fuel? I feel like that's a thing. Maybe
it wasn't. He just turns it on.
Okay, that might be a gag later. But yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. Things just always work out for Ash when it comes to killing monsters.
But just like prop wise and production wise, that's just a really well put together scene.
And in such a tight environment.
Yeah. That was all super impressive, and she was horrifying.
Yeah.
Like just But I was gonna say that's a scene where I'm having a hard time deciding like how much he's doing this for himself and how much he's doing it for other people. Where it's like I'm trying to decide how much of an act he's putting on. Where it's like I don't really care about anyone, but then when I'm put in a position where I can help, I've got that responsibility thing where I feel like I have to.
It seems to be he cares when he does get connected to people and he cares when it affects them, but he does not care about the greater whole.
Yeah, sure.
So like he'll help
because the girl at the store he worked at and that whole thing was freaky, right? Where her dad suddenly shows back, or her mom suddenly shows back up. And
I'm really glad that you are dead, because I'm starting to feel like a jerk.
Yeah, and it's fun because you have that moment where you're not totally sure,
and you believe that the show could go to that place.
Yeah, sure, because it's really absurd and it'll do anything. Maybe she just came back. It's crazy, or something in the middle, or something. I don't know. Like it could have been anything. And but anyway, so he keeps insisting, no, I have other things to do. I don't care about this. I'm not gonna go check this out. I'm not gonna help. And then the kid that he worked with at the store, something's all coming back to me. The kid that he worked with at the store, steals his book, but pretends like she has it, and so they go there. It turns out for no reason, and of course he's just pissed.
Yeah, that's how Ash saves most people. Is like he's kind of forced into it.
Yeah,
he doesn't really care once.
So he's a character that doesn't grow, doesn't change.
He couldn't season 3. I've not watched season 3 yet. It's not on DVD.
Sure, yeah. I mean, he has that in common with it too, but they're for totally different reasons.
I mean, he does a little bit in season 2. He does probably grow and change a little, but not in season 1. Season 1 is not about that.
It's funny. Like I'm impressed with it, but almost more on like a technical level. And like the writing is really good, but I'm not as entertained by it as you would be, I guess.
Yeah, no, I adore the show.
And again, I imagine that like Neil, Malik might have picked this because of the me squirming thing, and yeah, I did that a lot. I mean, like I turned away from the screen.
I don't have that except for in season 2. There is one scene that is the most disturbing thing I've ever seen. The
scene where the female cop loses her partner is horrifying, and I like that part a lot. I mean, like the thing with the head and stuff, like it freaks me out. But she's kind of the straight man for the show, and is like really tragic and tortured, and I think her performance is phenomenal.
Oh, she's great. She's really good.
Is she there all the way through, or do we lose her at some point?
We do lose her at some point. Yeah.
But I liked her a lot.
Yeah, no, she's really good.
I don't know what else I should talk about. I watched, and it's funny because I thought it was gonna keep being a 45-minute show because it's a 2-part because it's a 45-minute pilot, but they don't split it up, and so then the next episode's only half an hour, and I was like, oh, okay.
And the rest of them were just half an hour.
Yeah.
But,
and again, I wish we would do some dramas like that. I don't know why just because it's a comedy, like that's the only time we do the half-hour format.
Yep.
I think some dramas could be handled that way too. And I think a lot of the reason we do it with a show like that is because it's a small budget and they probably don't have enough money to make as many episodes as they would, or they would make that many episodes but they would be an hour and they just don't have the money for that. So you can make a longer season, 10 or 12 episodes or whatever it is, or you can make 5. And I feel like they get about as much done as most dramas do in an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree.
And what's cool about something like this is The Tick is you can show it to someone. You can show a whole season in like an evening.
Yep. Yep. You remember when the first half of The Tick dropped?
Yeah.
We watched through like the whole thing in like one night. We're like, oh, it's over.
And then we were sad because it was over. So I guess you can't watch a whole season a night, but a couple nights.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's right. Because we did that with the second part too. And I had people over and it was like 2.5 hours.
Yep.
2:45 or whatever.
Yeah, it's about the length of a movie.
Yeah.
Half a season. So yeah.
For you, do you think though? I keep comparing these. Do you think those shows are comparable, or is one better than the other, or are they about on par for what they? Because they're very different things. But...
I think they're on par. I think they're comparable. I like Ash vs. Evil Dead more, but it's more my thing.
Sure.
But yeah, I think they're very comparable.
Yeah, although I think the humor sensibilities of The Tick are sometimes almost more yours than mine with that particular show.
That's true.
There are places.
That's true. But, like...
Because it goes to the comic book places more.
Ash vs. Evil Dead doesn't have, like, the robot guy. The doctor robot guy. Like,
yeah,
like I don't have anything in Ash vs. Evil Dead where I'm like, oh, I wish that was taken out.
Okay, sure. And I haven't watched very much of it yet, so...
Yeah. No, it's a real solid show. I really like. They're both really solid shows. I'm not trying to say one's better than the other. I'm saying for my sensibilities, I like Ash vs. Evil Dead a little bit more. But they're both really good. They both get a lot done.
Yeah.
In half-hour format, 12 episode season.